Right now on Up with KREM, COVID-19 vaccination rates are rising, but local health experts are concerned about other immunizations as well. This morning, we're breaking down why standard immunizations are on the decline. And starting today, the largest medical provider in Spokane is canceling all elective surgeries for now due to the surge in COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations.
It's almost like a gut punch. This is drastically affecting my life.
We're hearing from a family impacted by the surgery delay.
Of course, we're going to take you outside. It's a mild start to the day today, but wind picks up and cold temperatures arrive tomorrow.
Up with KREM begins now.
Starting today, one of Spokane's largest healthcare providers is pausing all elective surgeries due to a surge in COVID-19 cases taking over our local hospitals. Thanks so much for joining us on Up with KREM. I'm Channing Curtis. Now, take a look at this tweet made by Providence. They announced the pause, which goes into effect today. It affects Sacred Heart Medical Center as well as Holy Family Hospital. This also includes non-emergency outpatient surgeries and procedures in the doctor's building. The healthcare provider says they don't know how long the pause will be. Now, the hospital system says they're seeing a surge in patients from both eastern Washington as well as Idaho. We spoke with a Medical Lake veteran who was supposed to undergo 3 surgeries to have his colon removed at Holy Family. He says his medicine isn't helping with his condition, and now he'll have to wait until at least October for treatment.
It's almost like a gut punch. This is drastically affecting my life. I'm pretty well stuck just in town due to having to be so close to a bathroom all the time.
Right now, he's taking medicine that makes him immunocompromised. His family is fully vaccinated, but he says they're all worried he will get COVID before he can have the surgery. Until he can undergo the procedures, he says his life and his family is on hold.
My wife's having to do all the stuff I would normally do, grocery runs, just little outs. We've got 3 kids, so she's got to worry about busing them everywhere too. So it feels like we're all kind of walking on eggshells because we don't know what's going to happen.
Providence is not the only healthcare provider pausing non-emergency surgeries. Right now, Multicare also has a pause on some elective surgeries amid the increase in COVID cases. Now, across the state line, Kootenai health officials also paused some of their elective surgeries. In addition, some more necessary procedures are also being postponed since the state entered into crisis standards of care. Doctors say resources are being stretched to their limits. Now, while COVID-19 vaccines are a huge topic of conversation right now, our local health experts are also concerned about other immunizations. Nicole Hernandez is joining us live now to break down why we're seeing less and less children getting their standard shots. Good morning, Nicole.
Yeah, good morning, Channing. So putting the COVID vaccine aside for a minute, the Washington State Department of Health is worried about children getting their general immunizations right now. That's shots for viruses like measles, mumps, and polio. So I want to go over the data that Department of Health put out. So take a look here. We've got a couple different graphs here. This one is breaking down per vaccine the rates of vaccination. This here is a map breaking down vaccination rates by county in Washington State. But this one down here is what we're actually going to focus on this morning. This is the rate over time from 2015 to 2020. So looking at this graph here bigger, this graph is specifically for toddlers and babies, 9 months old to 35 months old. And you can see this line is very straight, very steady. This is what the Department of Health wants to see. The same amount of people that were vaccinating their babies and toddlers in 2015 are vaccinating their babies and toddlers right now in 2021 and in 2020. But if we take a look at the next graph here, this is where things look concerning for the Department of Health. So right now you can see from 2015 to 2019, a pretty steady solid line like we saw with the other graph. But here during the pandemic, we see a dip. Now it is slight, but it is a dip here in the graph. And this right here is what the Department of Health is concerned about. Less 11 and 12-year-olds particularly are getting their general immunizations during the pandemic. And they say it's really important that we turn this line around right now.
That is concerning and really puts our state at risk of outbreaks of other diseases, and why we're just kind of letting parents know that now is the time to make sure they're caught up on their routine childhood immunizations.
Now, Department of Health says those 11 to 12-year-olds, the adolescents, are their biggest worry right now. They think people just stopped going to the doctor as much for regular checkups when the pandemic hit. Now that we're a year and a half in, though, Department of Health says it's definitely safe enough to go to your doctor regularly. DOH says making sure kids are up to to date on their shots will help keep everyone healthy and our schools running smoothly. The good news is we did see the number of kids getting their shots dip to its absolute lowest in mid-2020. DOH says that number has been slowly going up, but we still have some work to do to get back to average. In studio, I'm Nicole Hernandez.
Now, while both Idaho and Washington are reporting high hospitalization rates, the vaccination rate for both states is vastly different. Washington is among a handful of states that has over 60% of their population fully vaccinated. In Spokane County alone, the health district says 54% of residents are fully vaccinated. Idaho is on the opposite spectrum. Idaho is among a handful of states that have less than 44% of their population fully vaccinated, and at least 39% of Kootenai County residents have both doses of their vaccine. Now, even with a decline in non-COVID vaccines, flu season was nearly non-existent last year. So why are doctors so concerned about you getting the flu this year? Let's connect the dots.
In 2020, we saw a record low number of flu cases across the country. You can chalk that up to a number of safety measures like masks, social distancing, and virtual school. Remember, the flu is less contagious than COVID, so all of that was enough to stop the virus in its tracks. But this year is a different story. COVID rules are more relaxed, meaning protections against the flu are gone too. And there are already some signs that this flu season could be a bad one. Right now, doctors are seeing a rare summer spike of RSV in kids. The respiratory disease usually doesn't surge until the winter. Public health experts see this as a sign that the flu could do the same. So what can you do about it? It's pretty simple. Doctors say get your flu shot before Halloween. Just like the COVID vaccine, flu shots are not 100% effective, but they do a lot to prevent serious symptoms and keep you out of already crowded hospitals. And that's connecting the dots.
We've got a lot going on in the world of weather. Sun coming up now. It's a bit calm this morning, but later on today, wind picks up across much of the inland northwest, and that all marks the change in our weather pattern. Right now, we've got temperatures in the mid to upper 50s, and that's rising. 54 in Sandpoint already, and as we move through the day, expect wind to pick up. We'll see wind gusts up near 25 miles per hour here in Spokane, likely up near 35 miles per hour out in parts of central Washington. This comes with a little moisture in the atmosphere, so what we aren't seeing is red flag warnings. However, fire danger will be elevated during the day today. A little bit of cloud cover now showing up on the satellite and radar. You can see it kind of popping up there just on the lee side of the Cascades. And as we move through the day, expect temperatures to rise and some of those clouds to make it toward us. We'll see a mix of clouds and sun with temps climbing into the low 70s later on this afternoon. But as skies clear and wind calms overnight, it sets the stage for a potential freeze. A freeze watch is in place for northeastern Washington, North Idaho, and northwestern Montana. Temperatures cold enough to ruin any unharvested fruits or veggies that you still might have.
It's time now for your morning rush. More news in less time. The Justice Department wants to dismantle a state law meant to help Hanford workers who get sick on the job, but the state plans to fight back. Attorney General Bob Ferguson says he was blindsided by this third attempt to scrap the law. The Justice Department claims it's unconstitutional that states can't tell the federal government how to run its business. Ferguson's office defeated the feds in court twice before.
There are judges of all persuasions who have looked at this case and reached one conclusion. The state of Washington is right, the federal government is wrong.
Governor Inslee signed the bill into law after our sister station in Seattle found the Hanford Worker Compensation Program cheated people out of their benefits. DNR land in eastern Washington will reopen on Thursday for recreation, camping, and hunting. The agency closed all public lands east of the Cascades in July because of extreme heat and drought. Now, just a reminder, the statewide burn ban is still in effect until the end of this month. It's been 7 weeks since 5-year-old Michael Vaughn was last seen in his neighborhood in Fruitland, Idaho, and the community remains dedicated to bringing him home. Fruitland police have received more than 400 tips from the community and say they have followed up on every single one. Another Idaho mountain search and rescue team with a specialized canine was sent out to aid in the search. Hundreds of Afghan refugees are finding new homes in Idaho. A federal mandate is resettling Afghan refugees in the Twin Falls and Boise areas. However, Governor Brad Little's office says the Biden administration acted through federal mandate without consultation from the state. The Boise mayor says the city has a long-standing history of welcoming refugees from all over the world. That's your Morning Rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's happening in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media. Operations are underway at the newest Amazon fulfillment center in Spokane Valley. But could we see a change coming to our delivery times? That answer after the break.